Wonderful. Well, it's my pleasure to kick off our program today. We're starting off with a great speaker by the name of Ron Carlantonio. Let me tell you a little bit about Ron. Ron is the CEO and founder of İNAGO, a Tokyo and Toronto-based company that is creating next-generational conversational digital assistants. Okay, I want to know what that is, so please pay attention. Ron is a graduate of the mathematics and computer science from the University of Waterloo. He moved to Japan and created the cult software Aquazone, a virtual aquarium with artificial life. Wanting more, Ron focused on making computers more human-like. In 1998, he founded İNAGO and created NetPeople, a software platform enabling humans to interact naturally with computers. In Japan, Toyota, NEC, and others have used NetPeople in next-generation solutions for smartphones to robots. In 2015, Ron launched NetPeople in North America to power automotive and all smart devices. Ron's talk is on the next generation of human-like vehicles. Join me in welcoming Ron Carlantonio.
Hello, look at that. So I'm going to put this here so I don't bore you for too long. Thank you very much, Matt. I think half of the presentation is now over. But I am going to talk a little about my background because I think it gives a perspective on the rest of the talk about human-like vehicles. And then we're going to talk at the end about what do we need to do here to make that happen. So first, a little bit about me. I was a bit of a computer geek. I born and raised in Toronto, loved computers, and naturally went to the University of Waterloo for computer science. But unnaturally, I went straight to Japan after graduation. In Japan, I joined Sony Tektronix. I was an engineer, but then I quit and I joined a small startup. And I think there's a lot of reputation. I don't know, in the design community, I think we all appreciate Japan as a great design country. But in general, people think of black suits or blue suits, very conservative. When I left Sony and I joined a startup, it was the most creative change in my life. Everybody around us in small, medium-sized companies were extremely creative. So that actually was amazing for me, and we decided to create our own product, and we had to figure out what to create. So instead of creating a game or creating business software, and at that time the Mac was just starting to take off, we decided to create a virtual aquarium. And lucky for us, before we went under, it released and it became a hit product in Japan, and it sold for about 14 years. But the interesting thing about this product is it made this Mac, which at the time was not a flat screen. It was kind of like a box, and it had glass, and it looked exactly like an aquarium. So it made this box into an aquarium. The fish would die, you'd have to feed them, you'd have to buy more fish if they died. So it was really digital life, and it was before Tamagotchi, for those of you who even remember Tamagotchi. And so after that, though, I said, okay, I really want to go back to Canada, and I want to do something more than just fish. So I decided humans. Yes, if we can simulate humans, and we can talk to a computer, that's exactly what I wanted to do when I was a kid. So I created a new company called İNAGO. That turned out to be a lot harder than I had thought. So what İNAGO does is it tries to make every computer human-like and more like us. So it's like Siri, except before Siri, and it's for other companies. So what we try to focus on is allowing every product to adapt their own kind of Siri. So we started that, I started that before 2000 in research here in Toronto, but we actually launched in Tokyo. And I've been doing it ever since 2000. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and it's extremely difficult from a variety of perspectives. But as you can imagine, in 2000, nobody was talking about Siri. But today, everybody knows Siri, and now you know Alexa, and now you know Google Home, and they're now in your home. That wasn't the case many years ago. So we work with Japanese companies to do everything from cell phones to robots. It was extremely interesting, and now actually I've moved back. So I went back to Japan, and I've moved back to Canada now, and I'm selling us into North America. So that's my objective. But just to give you an idea of what we do, it's a software platform, and it allows companies to create their own intelligent assistants. It has a lot of preset services. And it allows them to integrate it into their product, but also every other touch point, like Alexa, so that you can talk to Alexa, but ask Alexa to talk to Toyota. So that's the idea. So, hey Toyota, how much electricity do I have left in the car? Oh, I have a little bit left in the car because you didn't plug me in. Okay, we're not going to work today. And there's a whole bunch of new retail coming out. I don't know if you know what's happening with Toyota, but they've come up with something called an e-pallet, which is a box car. And they're basically going to lend it out to people, and they can make whatever they want. If they want a lunchroom, they can make a lunchroom. Now, there are no people because it's autonomous, so they're going to need some other kind of interface to interface with people that come into this pallet. So these are the things we're working on. I like to think of it as a new type of software where you put knowledge into it, you put a lot of information into it, and then it just naturally can talk to people. Now, when you think about that from a design perspective, it's not deterministic at all. You're putting information, you actually don't know what's going to happen with the user. It's a very difficult thing to design the user experience on. So we're going to focus only on cars today. So let me talk about how cars are today. I mean, everybody basically knows what cars are like today, but I want to give you a different perspective. So one is the dashboard. Hasn't changed a lot in many, many years. More buttons, but still buttons. More little lights, still lights. So the dashboard, the problem with the dashboard now is you've got a lot more functionality, but you still have the same dashboard. Oh, sorry, no, we have a little screen now that's in the car. Tiny screen. Who uses that screen? Do you have a touch screen? You have a touch screen? Not many people have a touch screen. It doesn't touch very well, does it? You do this with it? No, you can't do that with it. It's like 10-year-old touch screen in your car. And now they're trying to stick a lot of services in that, which means the design experience or the user experience there is terrible. So I'm saying a lot of negative things, but that's okay. We have a smartphone, right? We just bring the smartphone into the car. No, that's terrible. You bring the smartphone into the car, and we have an incredible amount of driver distraction happening in the car. So you hope that, well, maybe I could just connect my smartphone. Who connects their smartphone? Who has Android Auto? Anybody have Android Auto? Okay, very few people. So GM puts Android Auto in. A lot of companies are putting Android Auto in. But the experience gets a little bit better, but it's still not fantastic. And now you have like this split personality in the car. Hey, Google, find me that restaurant. Ford, where's Ford? So Ford is there, you just have to find it. So the smartphone in the car is okay, but it's not a great experience. But we have a lot of warning lights. They're getting a lot better, right? Who notices the warning light there? You know, tire pressure warning, these kinds of warning lights. You know how many warning lights are in a car? About 94. Do you know all those warning lights? No. Have you ever built icons? Imagine building 94 icons that are about this size to tell somebody what's happening, especially since they'll only see this once in a while, and they have to know what to do right away. Well, that's not the greatest experience. Nobody knows those lights, even the people who designed them. But that's okay, because you have the car, you have the manual, right? Yeah. All you have to do is look it up in the manual. Now, you have to stop the car to do that. And then, number two, nobody reads the manual, right? They don't even make the manual for you to read. They make the manual for legal purposes. Okay, so the manual is useless. How long have we had cars? We have great cell phones, and yet we're still giving you a manual, and we're still using a manual. So that's a terrible user experience. And let me just give you some data, because I have to give data here. It's a slide. So connected cars, they're growing. So every car is going to be connected. We know that. It's going to be the ultimate connected device. It's going to be your real mobile device, because it is mobile. That's an incredible thing that's happening. It'll be connected all the time. That means you can access any service you want from the car. They'll be able to build dynamic services into the car, things that you never had before. And they're starting to do that. So that's the plus. That's the upside. Now, on the right side, what I'm showing you is something called the consumption gap. The consumption gap means they're building a lot of functions and features, but not a lot of people are able to use them. And that's because to use them, first, you need to know they're there. Second, you need to know how to use them. But I just showed you the dashboard, and I showed you the little screen. So it's very difficult to know how to use it. Has anybody here heard of adaptive cruise control? Right? That's the beginning of autonomous driving. And you're going to get more and more features like this that automate the driving experience. The problem is adaptive cruise control is all controlled by this one knob. You press, you turn. Nobody knows how to set adaptive cruise control. There's actually lots of settings. So the problem is we have lots of features, but nobody's able to use them. But we do have voice in the car. So voice is getting better. I know many years ago voice was terrible, right? You'd say, call Fred, and they'd say, okay, I'm calling your mom. It never worked, never worked. Now we have things like Google speech recognition, which is incredible. So speech is actually going up in the car. As you notice, 45% of adults will use speech in the car, which is much higher than before. Still not high enough. It should be 100%. Everybody should just be able to use it, not think about it. But it's much higher than other areas except for your smartphone, probably because the smartphone works better. So I've just given you an idea of the car today. It hasn't really been disrupted yet. There are a lot of companies trying to disrupt it. Tesla has an incredible screen. Well, is it so incredible? It's just really an oversized iPad in your dashboard. So it's not that incredible yet. That's not really what we need in the car. But it's getting better than at least what the other car makers are making. So what do we really want? I want to show us what we really want. So this is, I don't know how to play this actually. Let me see. Okay. This is how Toyota envisioned it in 2010.
I know. My agent.
Good morning, Mr. Toyota.
Are we ready to go?
According to the Toyota Smart Center, your car is fully charged at 100%. All the electricity was supplied by solar power. The current temperature inside the car is 31 degrees. Would you like to pre-adjust the temperature?
Yes. Set the temperature at 26 degrees. And take me to the office via the quickest route, avoiding congestion.
Setting the air conditioning to 26 degrees as requested. Shinagawa intersection is currently congested. The jam is 2.5 miles. By the time you arrive, it is expected to be 4.3 miles. So, please follow the National Road 1 and take the highway.
Authenticating, Mr. Toyota. Authentication complete. Please unlock the door. Charging system is unlocked. Transferring operation system from smartphone to car device.
Okay, so this is about Toyota, but they haven't even gotten into the car yet. So basically, that's because Toyota wants to be part of the smart city. They want to be part of your life before and after the car. And they actually create bicycles. They create a variety of not only transportation devices, but in Japan, they have a company called Toyota Home. So they actually are creating smart homes. They're also creating smart grids. So they're interested in much more than just the car. But you can see how it connects to the car, that experience. Now, I just want to show you then what happens within the car.
My agent.
Mr. Toyota, what may I do for you?
Give me today's schedule.
You have the following schedule. Board meeting from 8:30. An official visit from the president of ABC Corporation at 10 o'clock.
Lunch with Mr. Suzuki, manager, at 12 o'clock. And from 1
Stop.
o'clock.
What time will I arrive at the office?
The arrival time at your destination will be approximately 8:10. The remaining battery power will be 56% on arrival. You have one voicemail from your wife.
Voicemail.
Playing voicemail.
Have you forgotten what day it is today? I haven't heard from you all day. What's going on? Don't forget, 7 o'clock at the Italian restaurant.
Oh gosh, I forgot today is our wedding anniversary. My agent.
Mr. Toyota, how can I help you?
Add dinner at 7 to today's schedule and reserve dinner for 2 at the usual Italian restaurant. Order red roses for my wife and send them to my home.
Affirmative.
Okay, so this is 2010. Okay, so this is 2019 now. All right, so that's not so dramatic anymore because we're starting to do that, a little bit of that anyways, with Alexa. So, but this was 2010. And actually, we worked with Toyota at this time. They came to us and showed us this video and said, this is what we want to do. So actually, Toyota was the first in their Prius PHV in Japan. They created an assistant. And you could ask the assistant for restaurants and other things, but you could also ask about the car. It was a plug-in hybrid, so nobody really knew how to use a plug-in hybrid. So you could ask things like, hey, how do I plug you in? How do I do these things? So that was starting early. Now let's look at Toyota, not today, but a little closer to today. So this is a real Toyota prototype car.
You're excited about something.
Can you tell?
You feel different. Are you going on a date?
You got me there.
Just be yourself and you'll be fine. Have you picked a restaurant?
Got any suggestions?
What about that cucina on the hill?
I wanted to try that place.
I think you'll love the bruschetta.
Can't wait. Can you make a booking?
Of course. And a gym appointment? You're probably going to eat too much.
Perceptive as always.
Let's both stay healthy.
Yes. I'm looking forward for you to meet her.
I'm nervous.
Even you get nervous?
That was a joke.
Don't say jokes like that in front of her.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to go on. So for those of you who remember, what are we trying to create here? Knight Rider, KIT. Now there's a new version, so even the younger generation might remember that. But KIT, Knight Rider was the first television program. And you think it's really a North American thing, but actually in Japan, when I would interview Japanese automakers, and this was in 2003. 2003, I started talking to them, and they said, we're going to create Knight Rider. I said, wow, how do you even know Knight Rider? Oh yeah, we know Knight Rider. So I said, okay, when are you going to do it? This was 2003, right? And they showed me their roadmap, 2005. What year is it this year? Okay, so they haven't gotten there yet because they didn't really have a solid plan to get from 2003 to 2005 to create all of this technology. But if you notice some of the technologies in that screen, in that video, it's starting to come to light. So I don't know if you noticed the first one. It noticed the person's expression. Oh, you look nervous today. The previous CES, there's a company called Activa, and there's a variety of other companies doing facial recognition that will recognize your emotion in the car. So that's happening. Give me a suggestion for a restaurant. Recommendation systems, predictive recommendation that's giving recommendations on restaurants. That's happening. Natural speech, that's happening. There are a lot of these parts that are happening. So, I mean, I'm still waiting before I die to see KIT. I want to create KIT. So, in real life, though, this is how we're trying to do it. It's called the smart cockpit. You might meet automakers and they'll say the smart cockpit. And we think the assistant within the smart cockpit is a key element. The assistant is that thing that has brains, that thinks, that has information, and can use the environment to interact with you in the best way possible at that time. So that's what the smart cockpit is. Notice how the smart cockpit, well, this one is just one version of it, but it's not just one little screen. In fact, I'll say it will be complete screen all through the car. You'll have a head-up display all through the windows. So if you look the side of the window, you might see the CN Tower, and you might see a little augmented reality screen on top telling you that this is the CN Tower, when it was formed, etc. Or you might look at something and say, ooh, what is that? Oh, that's the CN Tower. When was it built? It was built in so-and-so time. In your car is going to be one environment where you can do a variety of things. It's not just a computer screen. So that's the smart cockpit. So why do we need the smart cockpit? Other than it's really cool and we want KIT. Well, it's because of what I was saying earlier. We want a lot of services coming into the car. You want to look for a restaurant, but more than that, if you had a problem in the car, you'd want to say, hey, what is that? Can I keep driving? Or can you get me home? Oh, no, I can't. We're going to have to stop here. All right, well then book an appointment with the dealer. You're going to want to do those things, and those things are all possible. The car is now a computer on wheels. There's an incredible amount of software in that car. However, there's no way to communicate that with the user right now. So that's one of the reasons. You have new services, new functions. You're going to want entertainment in the car. What are you going to do if it's an autonomous car now? Just sit there? No, you're going to want entertainment in the car. And I'll tell you, everybody thinks this right now, but if you have an environment like that, this is nothing. So you're going to want full entertainment. You might have 3D movies. You're going to want information right at your fingertips. And let's say car sharing. You don't have a car. Well, when you go into a new car, how are you going to drive that car? How are you going to know how to turn on the autonomous system to get out of that car? What if you have to drive it and it's handing it over to you? Every car is going to be slightly different, but that smart cockpit is going to be yours. So your smart cockpit is going to be in every car. And that's why we need that. So how are we going to do this? And since this show is a bridge with technology and design, I'll just go on the design side. And the reason for me also is because I think we have a lot of technology people involved in this, but we don't have a lot of designers involved in this. The designers that are doing the automotive HMI are traditional designers, but they've been doing the car for years. Those are the people making the decisions. So what I think is we need to be able to have physical design, visual design, and conversational design. That's what a human-like design will be. So physical, not only touch, it could be haptic, but it can also just be moving your arms. It could be your face, it could be your eyes. Visual, everything becomes a visual unit. And conversational. You should be able to say anything you want at any time, and it will be conversational, not command-based. So, who do we need to do this? Well, we have a lot of people that are required to make this happen. But like I said, on the engineering side, it's happening. On the design side, I don't see it happening as much. So ultimately, what I think we need is a communication designer. A designer that understands not only visual, but verbal and physical. And this kind of designer is going to have to learn how to deal with a dynamic environment. And when I say dynamic, I mean, up until now, you design an interface and it's fairly deterministic. You click A, you get to B. You have categories, you go down. Maybe there's some flexibility. But when it's human-like and conversational, you have no idea what is going to happen. You cannot control that environment at all. So you need to design the elements and let the system, let the AI deal with the elements. So in a sense, you're teaching the AI how to interact with a human. You're not controlling the AI, you're teaching it. So communication design is going to be about providing the elements that are required and then learning how do you teach a computer how to interact with a user. So that's going to be the communication designer I hope to see. So let me sum this up. Today, yes, cars are old, and there is a lot of room for disruption in the car. It's starting, but it needs to go faster. Tomorrow, we will have a human-like experience in the car. It will be smart, it will be simple, and it should be safe and fun. However, we need somebody to do something about that. We need a different human design in the car. It is visual, physical, and conversational, but mostly it will be learning. How do you create a human? How do you create what a human does? And that isn't the same as what we're used to. So, one last thought. I just talked about the car, but I believe this is the case for every device. So your refrigerator is going to start having tons of functionality. Yes, you can keep talking to Alexa, but the reality is you're going to be talking to your refrigerator. So design, human-like design will apply to every device and product that has any complexity. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks so much, Ron. We do have a few minutes for questions, and what an interesting topic. I really do hope that artificial intelligence gets smarter, but I think it would take smarter humans to program that artificial intelligence. That's at least my thought.
So it's not happening here, it'll happen there.
Maybe. Yeah. I surround myself by smarter people. Does anyone have any questions for Ron? Drew has a mic here, and he'll run over to you. Please raise your hand nice and high. We'll take questions from the audience. Yes, sir.
Hey, Ron. Thank you very much for that presentation. I've got a question with regards to the OEMs, the global OEMs today. Like, what are some of the challenges they're facing when you describe their current technology? You know, the size of the screens are small, the UX experience is poor. Like, why are they not able to move maybe at the same pace as a Tesla or as some of the newer companies that are upcoming? Thank you.
Thanks for that question, Colin. Great question. I think about that a lot because we'd all like the car to get better faster. And yet it's taking so long for the automakers and so fast for companies like Google and Tesla. And I think what they have over the automakers is that they were built from software. Even Tesla, in my opinion, Tesla is a software company. They are creating it from software. When you create software, you believe in things changing all the time. Software changes all the time. You're updating it all the time. Hardware is not the case. When you build a car or you build a physical thing, guess what? You can't change that screen tomorrow, right? It's physical. And therefore, the car makers are used to this 3, 5, 7-year cycle to create the hardware. So they create hardware in these long timelines because they need to guarantee it works 100%. So what does that do? What does it do to design? Lowest common denominator. So whatever you do, it will be the lowest common denominator because that's the safest, the risk-free. The Teslas of the world are not doing that. They're taking a risk. Now, there's a risk there in taking a risk. So you have to judge whether that's good or bad, but it definitely allows companies to go faster. So I think what could change, what could improve the changing of this, I hate to say new companies, but I would like to see the traditional companies change their methods from a vertical, separated, hardware-oriented approach to a horizontal, software-oriented, agile approach. And I think that would speed things up a lot. And then, of course, getting new designers involved into the car would help. Because I think we have the traditional designers. So when I talk to designers that are designing the interface, it's really hard to talk. I always wonder, where's the gap? I'm really trying to figure out the gap. And the gap is often because they really already feel the lowest common denominator. They're already saying that, oh no, I can't do that. I just limited to this many colors. I'm limited to, what? You're talking colors? What year is this? So I think they need new design attitude, and I think they need to go to a software-oriented approach.
Wonderful. We have time for one more question before we move to the next panel. Does anyone have one? Raise your hand really high and we'll run over to you. Yes, Sam. You've got it.
Thank you kindly for that presentation. I'm curious about the consumer side of things. Are they ready to pay more for these types of dashboards? And if they're not, then what needs to change in terms of a business model so that I can actually get into a car that's going to talk to me?
Yeah, and I think, thanks for asking that question, because that's the one thing maybe I missed in Colin's question. One of the obstacles is that the automaker is looking for somebody to pay. And who pays? So in the traditional model, the automaker pays, you pay them, they make a profit. In the new model, let's say the Google model, the Facebook model, the Twitter model, that new generation model is you invest a heck of a lot to create a service that lots of people use, and then there are other means of collecting that revenue. And there are a lot of ways, and there is a lot of revenue to be had. So I think that if the car makers don't do it, absolutely Google, Apple, and the other high-tech giants will do it. And the reason is they can offer it free and still make money. And so the challenge is whether the automakers will adapt that model or not. Currently, you're still struggling with that model. I believe that Google will want you to have as many services as possible for the same reason they want you to have them here, right? Google never made phones before, right? And they came out with Android. Why did they come out with Android? They weren't making any money off of Android. But they came up with it because they knew the web wasn't going to last forever. They knew that people are going to start using this. So wherever your eyeballs are, they're going to be. And therefore, in the car, you spend, on average, we spend almost 2 hours in North America in a car a day. On average, 2 hours. 2 hours of focused time. That's valuable. So I think the question is who, as opposed to when right now, whether it will be the high-tech giants or will be the auto company or both together giving you that experience. And I think the when is more, that will happen slowly day by day because it is a more conservative environment because you're still driving. It's not autonomous yet. So they do have a certain amount of responsibility. But I think the key factor will be who, And that will depend on who's willing to put the investment, because at the beginning, you're not going to pay anything. And the car makers are waiting for you to pay. They want you to pay every month. But I don't know about you, but I'm not going to pay for my car every month. At least I'm not going to pay for those services every month. I might pay for my car.
Great, wonderful questions, wonderful answer. Give it up again for Ron DiCarlantonio, everyone. Thank you so much.